Right guys, so we're about halfway through week 2 of training. I'm out for a 5k steady run tonight before I do my strength training. I'm not going to get into tonight's topic while I'm out on the run, because we've got a yellow warning for rain, it's pretty flooded, and I just want to get round the run, get back, and then we can talk about tonight's topic when I get into the garage. So I'll catch you in a bit. Still got some snow lingering about in places, but we're definitely on the rain today. Quite a lot of big puddles and flooding in various places. Quick river check. Yeah, brown and deep, as if we couldn't guess. Oh, happy days. Oh, happy days. Oh, happy days. I'm back. A bit wet. I know it's becoming a bit of a theme on the channel at the moment, what with my last video about the ambulance trip. But yeah, this is the last of my near-death experience stories. So yeah, thankfully no more disasters after this one. But I'll talk you through something that happened to me earlier in my life that had running involved and the hospital. This one goes back to my school days when I was 11 years old. During the winter months at secondary school, one of the fun activities we got to do in physical education, or PE, was cross-country running. It wasn't very popular with most of the boys I knew. It was, as I say, a winter activity, so it was generally cold, raining, muddy, all three. And yeah, the last thing we wanted to be doing really was being outside in football kits and running around muddy fields. So we'd all gather in a group, usually complaining, grumbling, and then the teacher would set us off running around the entire perimeter of the school grounds. So we ran all around the back of the school building, through the muddy grass around there, and then over onto the playing fields. And the school had 2 massive fields that had several rugby pitches, football pitches, tennis courts, hockey pitches, places for long jump. You name it. It was 2 huge fields, and we had to run all the way around the entire outside of there. Can't remember how many laps they made us do, but however many it was too many. So, having survived the run itself and the rest of the school day and gone home as normal, later that evening I started developing a pain in my right hip, and it must have been pretty intense, because not long after that I ended up in hospital. And as I was only 11 years old, some of the details are a bit of a blur at this stage, but I was actually in hospital for 2 weeks, obviously off school, sleeping at the hospital, visits from my parents, and yeah, it was a bit of a traumatic time as an 11-year-old. One thing that kind of sticks out in my mind from those times sleeping in the hospital is, to help with this hip problem, they would put me in traction, or on traction, not sure what the right phrase is. Well, basically I'd have a strap up each side of my leg, and then that was held on with bandages, both legs, and then that was attached to weights that were pulling me down towards the bottom of the bed, like stretching my legs, if you like. So I'd go to sleep lying on my back with my legs being pulled by these weights, and then when I woke up I'd just be in a heap at the bottom of the bed, where the weights had basically dragged me down over the course of the night, and then I'd have to kind of shuffle back to the top of the bed, or maybe get a nurse to help me, I can't remember. And then the pattern would repeat, you know, I'd be lying at the top of the bed, wake up at the bottom of the bed, and yeah, I'm not quite sure why I was in traction, given the diagnosis of this problem I was having. It wasn't muscular or to do with bones or anything like that, and you know, I seem to remember there was some kind of confusion over what the actual problem was. I remember my friends talking to me about it because their parents had talked to my parents, and we were always talking about it being blood poisoning around my hip. So I'm not quite sure if that makes any sense, but that's the story I had in my head all those years ago. Some kind of blood poisoning. I don't think blood clot was mentioned, but yeah, blood poisoning, and something had gathered up around my right hip and was causing me this pain. Not quite sure how the traction was helping with that. I messaged my mum to see if she remembered any more than me recently before making this video, and she remembers there being some kind of virus involved. So it was a very, very strange problem. And after 2 weeks in bed on the traction, presumably they took me off the traction after a while when they thought things were getting a bit better. I don't remember what other treatments I had while I was in there, but it was a good old stint in the hospital. And went back home after that and back to school. And one thing that I felt was a positive to come out of the situation was that from that point onwards, I was excused from the cross-country runs. So when all the rest of the class were running around the muddy fields and getting soaking wet and cold, I got to stay inside and sit it out. So that was a win for me at the time. But yeah, if you wonder why it took me so long to get into running, I didn't start till I was almost 45 years old. Maybe subconsciously that traumatic first experience of some proper running was clinging on in there, and the thought of ending up in hospital for 2 weeks after one cross-country run maybe was enough to put me off. But yeah, that was what happened when I did my first cross-country run at secondary school. It didn't end well, unless you count being excused from those horrible runs, which at the time, yeah, I thought was pretty good. But there we go. That's the last of my traumatic stories about running and training experiences and the ensuing illnesses. So yeah, hopefully that's the last one. Yeah, niggles I can cope with, but hospitalisation I'd rather avoid in future if at all possible. If you do want to subscribe to my channel, it is free. Just press the button and watch the subscribe account go up by one. Thanks a lot. See you next time.